What's up everybody, I'm Hoops and Hip Hop, and today we are going to be talking about the story of Pokemon Sword and Shield. Now granted, we don't really know a whole lot about the story of these games, but stories in Pokemon games are something that really fascinate me, and with this game in particular, I am especially excited about it, so I wanted to go ahead and talk about it in a dedicated video. Now even though we don't know a whole lot about the story of these games, we only have little bits and pieces that we as fans can try to link together. What we do know about the story is very fascinating, and in my opinion, after looking over all of what we do know, the story in these games might just be one of the more ingenious stories in a Pokemon game that we have ever seen, and today I'm going to tell you why I think that is. Since we know so little about it though, I'm not going to go so far as to say that these games will have the best story ever or anything like that, but I do think they are shaping up to have a very interesting, very high quality story that frankly is ingenious for a Pokemon game to have if it turns out the way I think it's going to, and like I said, that's what I wanted to talk about today. So without any further ado, why don't we go ahead and take a look at why the story of Pokemon Sword and Shield might just be genius. Okay, so to start off this video, we are going to begin with a blanket statement that is very important to remember as we go throughout the different points of this video, and that comes from the director of the games himself, Shigeru Omori. In an interview with Pokemon.com, Shigeru Omori stated that the biggest theme in these games is the idea of being the greatest or the strongest, and that is going to become very apparent as we go throughout each of these points, and it's going to add to them that much more as well, so just keep that in mind as we go throughout the video. Starting off though, it's pretty clear to see that the Gym Challenge is going to be the focus of Pokemon Sword and Shield story, because when it comes to the Galar region, the Gym Challenge is a much bigger deal than it has been in regions past. This has been made very clear with everything from the giant stadium-like arenas for the gyms themselves, to the fact that you actually have to get an endorsement from someone within the Gym Challenge to even be able to enter it in the first place, and there's also the fact that the tournament only happens once a year, making it a huge deal within the Galar region both for the competitors and spectators alike. So right from the get-go, we can see that a lot more focus is being put on the Gym Challenge than in generations past, when it already was a huge focus of basically every prior generation, essentially being the goal that you strive for within every game. So the fact that that is the case, and the fact that the story is actually going to weave its way in to this huge part of the game, can only make for some very interesting possibilities once we get the chance to learn more about it. And with more focus being placed on the Gym Challenge in the story, another thing that's going to factor into that will also have to do with the story that I think these games are doing an excellent job with are the rivals. Rivals are always something that we as Pokemon fans look forward to seeing every new generation, because for the longest time, we have been hoping to see a new rival in the vein of a Blue or a Silver that's cocky, that's arrogant, that's a jerk, or at the very least has something more interesting to offer than just being our friend. And with the trio of rivals that we have got in this game, I would say this is probably going to be the best set of rivals that we have ever seen within a Pokemon game, and I have a very specific reason for saying that. Number one, not only does it seem that we have our cocky, arrogant jerk rival that we've been wanting in Bede, but we also have another really interesting rival in Marnie, who does not look to be a pushover either, and who also has some very interesting ties to the story, as well as the evil team, that is certainly going to be interesting to say the least. And even who is probably the worst of the three rivals in Hop, even he has something going for him in that he is the younger brother of the champion of the region, and therefore has a good reason for wanting to become the champion himself. And that's what I really love about this trio of rivals the most, is that they all have specific motives and goals that they are striving towards that actually matter within the game. Unlike Pokemon X and Y, for instance, where we had a bunch of rivals, but they all had random goals that didn't really pertain to your progression as the player character or the story at all, the rivals and their motives in this game all have direct ties to what is directly going on with you as the player and the story of these games, because we have Hop, who wants to become a champion to basically defeat his older brother, and then you have Bede, who obviously has some sinister motives of his own in addition to wanting to become champion, and then finally you have Marnie, who not only is tied to Team Yell, which clearly makes her storyline interesting, but it's also stated on the website that she also wants to become champion in order to accomplish a certain goal. So the fact that every single one of these champions all have a very specific goal and motive in terms of what they're doing within the story, and it's not some throwaway aspect like becoming the greatest Pokemon dance trainer like it was with Tierno in Generation 6, for instance, actually has me very excited, because this is only going to contribute to the story more, and it's only going to provide more depth to it because we've got more characters actually playing a legitimate role in the story, and it's also the rivals playing these roles, which is obviously something we have wanted to see for a long time. But it's not just the rivals in these games either, because another key character in every Pokemon game is the champion, and even the champion himself looks like he is going to be a huge part of the story. The reason why this in particular is so interesting is because of course we have a champion character within every new Pokemon game, but it's not very often that they actually play a key role within the story itself. We have seen moments where this is the case, like with Lance helping you defeat Team Rocket in Gold and Silver, or even Cynthia helping you take care of Team Galactic in Diamond and Pearl, but I don't think even those characters are going to have the role that it looks like Leon is going to have within the story of Sword and Shield. And it all comes back to these games' focus on the Gym Challenge for its story, because obviously when it comes to the Gym Challenge, there is no greater character than the champion himself. But Leon has even more going for him than just that though, because as we previously mentioned, he's also the older brother to Hop, which is definitely going to add some level of depth to his character. And he also was childhood friends with Sonia, Professor Magnolia's granddaughter and assistant, and he also knows Professor Magnolia herself as well. So all of these different relationships that Leon has going for him with the people of the Galar region is just going to do so much in terms of making him a unique, interesting, and deep character who is obviously a huge part of the story, and when that is coming from the champion of these games as well, who previously has kind of been a one or two-sided character, is only going to provide a fascinating experience, because not only is it something new, but it obviously could shape up to be something very exciting if all of these relationships and his role as the champion itself lives up to its potential. Another character that Leon has a relationship with though is of course Chairman Rose and his assistant Oleana, who are the two people that are essentially running the Gym Challenge and who are responsible for making the Gym Challenge within the Galar region such a sight to behold. These two are the people who, through incorporating Dynamaxing into the Gym Challenge, have brought the Gym Challenge's level of popularity to the point that it now enjoys. However, it seems like there is much more going on with their characters than just that, and not in a good way. It very much seems like Chairman Rose and Oleana are going to be the main bad guys of these games based on their suspicious characters, and the fact that this guy has such a close relationship with Leon, who is the champion of the entire Galar League, lends itself to the idea that there might be some corruption and scandal going on behind the scenes, and it might not all be as great and as wonderful as it seems on the surface. I mentioned this before in a recent video, but the idea that the Gym Challenge, which has already been such a focus in every single Pokemon game up to this point, is also becoming the focus of the story within the game is fascinating and interesting enough on its own. But then when you add a little bit of scandal and a little bit of corruption to that, that is a recipe for a great story in my mind, and even though we don't know a whole lot about it, this story is proving to have all of the potential in the world to be a great story not only by Pokemon standards, but just video game and RPG standards in general. And then we finally come to the antagonists who aren't trying to hide their evil intentions, and that would be Team Yell. Now, Team Yell is a bit of an oddball evil team because they're not really trying to take over the world, at least it doesn't seem like that at this point, but instead what seems to be their main goal is basically to just be a giant fan base for your rival Marnie and do anything and everything they can to help her become champion. And this involves them doing anything they can to stop you, your other rivals, or any other competitors whatsoever from progressing to the point of becoming champion before Marnie herself gets the opportunity. Now obviously this kind of dynamic between rival and evil team is interesting enough on its own because we've never really seen anything like it, especially because it seems like, at least at this point, that Marnie isn't even a part of Team Yell herself. And I think it's also plain to see that there's more to Team Yell's ultimate goal than just wanting Marnie to succeed. They probably have something to gain from Marnie succeeding, and it probably has something to do with that certain goal that she is striving towards in becoming the champion. And with that being said, this is where we get to the thing that I wanted to point out with this video in the first place that truly gives the story of these games the opportunity to be completely ingenious, and that's the fact that literally everyone who's anyone in this game is trying to become the champion in one way or another for one reason or another, and to be the best like no one ever was is truly a driving theme behind this game. That phrase has been around virtually since the franchise began and has been one of its most iconic and most identifying features, so to see it essentially become the driving force behind the main plotline of a main series Pokemon game is incredibly exciting to say the least, because essentially that is a huge factor in what makes Pokemon, Pokemon. And then when you add in a little bit of corruption, a little bit of scandal, a little bit of drama, just to make things that much more exciting, has me extremely hyped at the potential of these games' story, and I truly believe we are in for a special treat once we get to experience the story for ourselves in full come the release of the game. And as if that didn't have you excited enough already, this isn't even factoring in the legendary Pokemon, who are clearly going to play a part in the story as they are on the cover art of the game, but with all of this focus on the gym challenge, it's anyone's guess as to how they could actually play a factor in the story. They obviously could go the more traditional route and be the focus for the evil team in some way, or maybe because all of the focus is on the gym challenge, they could feature in the story in a more less standard, less typical way that we're not used to, which would also be really exciting in the sense that it's just going to change things up. So I really do believe the legendaries are just the cherry on top to this whole scenario, because with everything else that's going on, they are a true wild card that could truly make the story of these games just that much better if they are used correctly. And there we have it, everybody. That is why I think the story of Pokemon Sword and Shield might just be genius. With all of the focus on competitive battling and being the best like no one ever was over the years, it's kind of crazy that we have not seen a plotline like this up to this point. But I truly think it's going to make for a fascinating experience once we get the chance to finally experience a plotline like this, and I definitely think we are in for a special treat. With all that being said though, hopefully you guys liked the video. Be sure to leave a like on it if you did, and let me know down in the comments below what you think about the idea of this story and if you are excited for it yourself. If you are new to the channel as well, be sure to subscribe for more Pokemon content all the time, and if you'd like to support the channel further, check me out on Spotify and give some of my Pokemon remixes there a listen, because it directly supports making videos here and is extremely appreciated. With all that being said though, I will be back on Saturday for another video, so be sure to hit that notification bell so you can be notified as soon as it goes live, and until the next one, as always, I love you guys very much, and I will smell you guys later.